I want you to look honestly at the scenario I'm going to draw for you right now. It is 11:30 at night on a random Tuesday. You are lying in bed, in the dark, your face illuminated by the blue light of your smartphone screen. Your brain is already completely exhausted from making decisions at work all day long. You're scrolling through a social media feed robotically, not even really focused on what you are looking at, and suddenly, the algorithm drops something perfectly targeted onto your screen. It is a garlic press. But it is not a normal garlic press. It is a limited edition matte carbon steel model featuring 47 titanium microblades. The video shows someone using the device in a kitchen that looks like it was ripped straight out of a billionaire's architectural digest, with a soothing acoustic track playing in the background. The cold hard fact is, you already own a garlic press. It is buried deep in that one specific kitchen drawer you haven't dared to open since late last year, crushed somewhere next to a useless avocado slicer you bought because you mistakenly thought you would host a fancy Sunday brunch back in 2021. But this new garlic press is different. Right there, flashing an aggressive red in the corner of the screen, are the cruel calculating numbers. Only 4 units left in stock. 12 people are looking at this exact item right now. The flash sale ends in 14 minutes. Your brain short circuits. If you do not act right this very second, you are going to miss out forever on the ultimate superior experience of pressing garlic. Your life will remain fundamentally incomplete. You double tap the side button on your phone. Facial recognition authorizes the purchase in a fraction of a millisecond. 3 days later, the cardboard Amazon box arrives at your front door. You tear it open. You hold the shiny black piece of metal in your hand, and you feel absolutely, unequivocally nothing. The enthusiasm has vanished into thin air. You toss the item into the exact same drawer next to the old one and let out a heavy sigh, wondering how the hell you just managed to incinerate 25 hard-earned dollars on something you know, with absolute and terrifying certainty, you will never actually use. If this painful narrative sounds even remotely familiar in your life, congratulations. I have some news for you. Your brain is functioning perfectly, doing exactly what it was biologically engineered and designed to do, which means it is functioning terribly for the modern world. Because your brain was forged hundreds of thousands of years ago to help you spot hidden berries in the bushes and survive harsh winters in the untamed forest. It was never equipped with the necessary defensive armor against armies of Silicon Valley behavioral engineers who use supercomputers to sell you a Bluetooth-connected toothbrush at 3 in the morning. I am Buck, and today I am going to pry open the black box of the digital retail industry. We're going to coldly dissect the neurological hijacking that compels you to buy garbage you hate, with money you do not have, to impress people you do not even know or care about. I'm going to show you exactly how massive corporations hacked your brain chemistry, and more importantly, I'm going to hand you the combat protocols so you can rebuild your barricades and seize back control of your wealth. Buckle up. The interrogation is going to begin. To patch a massive financial hemorrhage, you first need to understand exactly what angle the sniper fired from. Let me tell you about Sarah. Sarah earned $72,000 a year working as a junior manager. She has less than $1,000 sitting in her savings account. But last month alone, Sarah blew $400 on tiny, rapid-fire online purchases, $20 at a time, mostly while lying in bed at night. If you ask her point blank, she can list every single object she bought. But if you demand to know why she supposedly needed any of it, she cannot formulate a single logical, rational answer. Behavioral science holds the answer for Sarah's plight, and this single biological truth explains roughly 90% of your own budget failures. Your brain operates using a powerful neurotransmitter called dopamine. For decades, glossy magazine psychologists and popular culture have flat out lied to you. They told you that dopamine is the pleasure chemical, the feel-good hormone that washes over you when you finally get the thing you want. That is a lethal, fundamental biological lie. Dopamine has absolutely nothing to do with the actual pleasure of possessing something. Dopamine is the chemical of desire and anticipation. There is a brutal, world-famous study in the scientific community conducted by neuroscientist Robert Sapolsky at Stanford University. He trained monkeys to press a lever and receive a food reward. But the system had a specific trigger. A light would turn on inside the room to signal to the monkey that if he pressed the lever right then, the food would be released shortly after. Dr. Sapolsky monitored the electrical storms inside the monkey's brains throughout the entire process. And what he uncovered fundamentally changed the world's understanding of marketing. The massive spike, the volcanic explosion of dopamine inside the monkey's brains, did not happen when they finally put the food in their mouths and chewed. The explosion happened the exact second the light turned on. The dopamine surged violently during the anticipation of the reward. Your human brain, much like the primates, gets high and euphoric off the act of wanting, not the act of having. This is exactly and exclusively why you can spend 45 minutes tossing expensive clothes and electronics into your online shopping cart, feeling like an absolute king, riding an adrenaline high to the ceiling. Your anticipation system is flooding your veins with free chemical drugs. But when the brown cardboard box finally arrives via mail and you cut the packing tape, you look at the products and think, my God, what a pile of junk. Why did I pay for this? Your brain already had its trip 2 days ago. Opening the box is just the addict's come down. The wanting system forced your hand to click the checkout button. But the liking and enjoying system was never even invited to the party. The multi-billion-dollar marketing industry knows this biological flaw intimately. When they place an ad in your feed featuring a gleaming espresso machine set in a sun-drenched marble countertop kitchen with a model smiling in silk pajamas, they are not selling you the stainless steel components of the coffee maker. They are trafficking the dopamine spike. They are selling you an identity fantasy. They are feeding the illusion that if you buy this $200 machine, you will mysteriously and magically transform into the highly focused type of person who wakes up at 5:30 a.m., reads classical literature, drinks a flawless espresso, and dominates the corporate world. The harsh reality: the real version of you hits the snooze button 4 times and drinks reheated instant coffee, while the $200 machine sits on the kitchen counter like a silent, mocking trophy of your financial naivety, gathering a layer of grease. But the battlefield of neuroscience does not stop at mere desire. It advances into active punishment. Researchers at Stanford, MIT, and Carnegie Mellon shoved consumers into fMRI, functional magnetic resonance imaging, machines, and forced them to make real purchasing decisions while monitoring the blood flow in their brains in real time. When the patient saw a product they deeply desired, an imported chocolate box or sleek watch, their reward center lit up like a Christmas tree. The intense want was active. But the exact millisecond the researcher flashed the price of the product onto the screen, a specific region of the brain called the insula went into a violent spasm. The insula is the exact same neural region that goes into shock when you plunge your hand into an open fire or suffer a severe traumatic physical injury. Spending your money causes you physical, neurological pain. This is not some poetic metaphor. It is raw, hardwired biology. Your brain processes the act of emptying your pockets as a lethal injury, threatening your actual survival. Knowing this terrifying truth, the modern retail empire has dedicated the entire last century to creating innovations purely focused on anesthetizing, numbing, and surgically removing that neural pain from you. Physical cash, paper bills, causes the highest, most acute level of pain. You physically see your firepower dwindling right there in your hands. A physical credit card hurts slightly less because it creates a mental abstraction. The money feels distant. The digital wallet on your phone numbs the wound even further. And the invisible, frictionless click of facial recognition payment completely excises the pain altogether. You just spent $300 and your brain didn't even feel a pinch. And the metrics prove the lethality of this anesthesia beyond a doubt. Consumers using credit cards spend on average 18% to 25% more than consumers forced to use physical cash, even when they possess the exact same income level. Amazon did not patent the one-click buy button and defend that patent with armies of million-dollar lawyers in court for nothing. That single-click patent, by completely removing the tiny friction of typing in a password, added an estimated $2.4 billion a year to the company's bottom line. So that is the ambush you have walked into. Your brain pumps you full of chemical drugs, promising a life satisfaction that products cannot possibly deliver, while the tech industry systematically destroys the pain alarm system of your wallet. But if you think they stop their assault there, you severely underestimate the sheer scale of the corporate enemy. The pit of traps is deep, and these strategies have been weapons of retail warfare for decades. Let's brutally dissect trench pricing, the infamous left-digit effect. You and I, in our rational adult minds, know that a product priced at $49.99, $49.99, costs, for all practical intents and purposes, $50. $50. It is the difference of one idiotic, meaningless penny. But your primitive human brain's rapid scanning system is hardwired to process visual data from left to right. The very first number your brain anchors onto is the 4. Therefore, your subconscious mind automatically files that item away in the $40 drawer, not the $50 one. This dirty, minuscule maneuver, deployed on millions of shelves globally, is proven by rigorous studies to boost conversion rates and clear out inventory by up to 35%. They profit millions of dollars off a single penny of psychological misdirection. Then, we have the nuclear weaponry of behavioral economics, the artificial scarcity trigger. These are not random tricks. They are weaponized applications of the principle of loss aversion, mathematically proven by Nobel laureates like Daniel Kahneman. A human being feels the sharp, stinging pain of losing something with double or triple the force that they feel the pleasure of gaining that exact same thing. Our evolutionary terror of being left behind by the pack is overwhelming. When that travel website flashes only 3 hotel rooms left at this price, or when a fierce countdown clock starts ticking aggressively at the top of a clothing site roaring that the super flash sale ends in 45 minutes. What the marketers are actively doing is forcing a hostile hijack of your prefrontal cortex. In that split second of artificially induced stress, you are no longer coldly and calculatingly evaluating the technical specifications or the actual utility of that winter coat. Your logical cost-benefit analysis has been assassinated. All your panicked brain is doing is evaluating the impending pain of losing the opportunity, the social horror of missing out. More than half of all impulse buyers confess in blind surveys that the urgent fear of missing out, FOMO, was the singular driving trigger of the act. The product itself didn't even matter. In the past, these calculated ambushes were confined to the labyrinthine layouts of fluorescent grocery stores or concrete shopping malls. Today, the extermination field lives right inside the 6 inches of glass screen you carry in your own pocket. The integrated storefronts of social networks like TikTok Shop raked in over $15 billion in United States sales in a single year alone. And here is the dark, cruel detail. 71% of all those buyers did not open the app with the slightest, faintest intention of making a purchase. They did not type a product into the search bar. They were merely scrolling the screen passively, like zombies melting into a couch. And in a 5-second blur, they injected their credit card data to snatch up a portable blender they didn't even know existed prior to that exact moment. Every millimeter of feed scrolling is now treated by mega corporations as a potential financial transaction. We have engineered the scroll-to-cart pipeline, and it is not optimized for your future well-being. It is ruthlessly optimized for your immediate financial conversion. And the bill for this comes due incredibly fast. Over 55% of people who make purchases triggered by social media stimuli declare they brutally regret the purchase in the following weeks. Remorse is the heavy currency of addiction, and if we truly want to discuss the most destructive, virulent innovation that modern financial engineering has unleashed upon the masses, we must face the cancer of buy now, pay later, BNPL. Digital installment payment platforms are meticulously designed to fracture and grind the feeling of the pain of paying until it is transformed into an irrelevant, invisible mist. Instead of you confronting the real, sharp neurological pain of having to transfer and hand over 100 whole dollars all at once to buy a futile piece of clothing, the payment interface smiles at you and whispers, "Hey, break it up. It's just four comfortable payments of $25. It's the price of a quick lunch." Your brain, in its massive evolutionary inability to aggregate complex, diluted micropayments spread out over months into a single total cost of suffering and sweat, looks at the number 25 and mutters to itself, "That's just pocket change. That doesn't hurt at all." And the approval is instantly given. The result of this mental hack is a statistical bloodbath. Users of divided payment systems present shopping carts with an average value that is terrifyingly 85% higher than buyers paying upfront. And nearly 40% of them declare in blind forms that clicking this button makes spending money feel less financially real. Because that is exactly the core function of the machine, to rip away your sense of reality. We have reached the shameful plateau where we are financing $30 acquisitions over long-term installments. Young people are not financing a down payment on a reliable used car to get to work or durable furniture. They are paying $7 a month for nearly half a year just to sustain the purchase of a textured phone case. We took the small change of daily life, ground it up in a blender of long-term revolving debt, and slapped the label credit innovation on this enslaving disgrace. We have dissected the tactile purchase. Now we enter the silent siege warfare. Your subscriptions and hidden opportunity costs. The average American firmly believes, swearing up and down in surveys, that they spend roughly $110 a month on their digital subscriptions, service boxes, and streaming platforms. When financial researchers demand the raw bank statements and sweep through the line items, that exact same man's true monthly cost is $270. There is a blind spot of $160 bleeding and dripping uninterruptedly every holy month. That is $2,000 a year in parasitic corporate taxes that you simply forgot even existed, deducted beneath the surface while you sleep. Over 40% of people today carry active paid subscriptions for things they haven't touched or used in a year, purely through the deadly force of inertia. And this is where I must invoke the naked, heavy, and undeniable math of compound interest to shatter your Western notion that a small expense is harmless. Keep this equation locked in your mind until your dying breath. If you're around the age of 25 or 30 today, and you possess the ruthless discipline to purge and cut 20 meager dollars a day from purely futile and unnecessary bleeding in your routine, an obscene Uber Eats fee here, a useless Amazon package there, a ghost subscription over there, and instead, you took that exact same 20 daily dollars and anchored it rigorously in the capital markets at a conservative historical return rate of 7% until the dawn of your 65th birthday. Do you know what you would be holding in your hand at the end of the field? You would not have $100,000. You would not have $800,000. You would have in your possession a wall of power to the tune of $1,870,000. $1,870,000. Pay attention to the sheer severity of your strategic vision failure. When you buy and swallow that overpriced corner coffee or authorize a hamburger delivery order out of pure exhaustion and an aversion to cooking your own food, the true hidden cost on the bill is not today's $20 note. You are actively mortgaging, liquidating, and selling off nearly $2 million of your own old age empire in exchange for a few minutes of modern laziness. That meal that a courier will drop at your door tonight is not costing you $30 at the checkout. It is going to extract, through the brute force of destroyed opportunity cost, nearly $500 of pure retirement power. The cumulative weight of small, daily capital leaks versus non-negotiable discipline forms the vast frontier and the concrete deadly difference between the sovereign man who quits a toxic job at 50 and the enslaved man who begs not to be laid off at 72. Let's speak openly, without social anesthesia and cocktail party half-truths, about the epidemic of empty relief. You feel intimately, often in the dead of night, that you are the only idiot in the room suffering under the reins of messy bills, don't you? You look at and analyze everyone else's feeds, your neighbors posting vacations to the Greek islands, the girls at the office unboxing new purchases, and you feel the razor blade of failure passing close to your throat, faithfully believing that only your boat is sinking and everyone else has somehow decoded the enigmas of Wall Street. I'm going to tear down the curtain on that miserable illusion. 55% of this massive horde of social media-induced consumers admits, in anonymous confessionals, to opening their wallets and then recoiling in shock and deep regret at their own weakness. Over 33% of any and all food purchased in grocery stores rots and is dispatched to urban landfills. The statistic is inflexible and slashes across our collective throat. A crushing 50% of the American workforce, including a terrifying half of high-class professionals reporting over $100,000 in annual income, float like castaways and lives strangled, surviving from one stressful paycheck until the next payroll squeezes the account out of the red. The rope is always pulled tight. The essence of the scenario is brutal. If you're stuck in a hole and feeling like the game does not favor your survival, understand once and for all that this is not because you are some ignorant or stupid genetic defect. It is the practical demonstration that the billion-dollar gear system engineered to rip every excess dollar away from you is operating with an overwhelming, relentless, and terrifyingly precise performance. What, in terms of real emergency tactical action for early tomorrow morning, does the overwhelmed civilian need to do to staunch the bleeding from this assault and rebuild the perimeter of their financial and logistical treasury? The operational doctrine of survival in combat dictates three merciless recovery movements. Movement 1, the buyer's quarantine, the 24-hour embargo. Every time the lights in your primate brain flash on under the crosshairs of a purchase that is not vital, anything beyond water, unprocessed bread, shelter, or electricity, you are going to rip your wrist away from the action. Take a screenshot if it's online, shelve the tab in the cart, or physically walk out of the concrete store and rigorously activate an implant on your phone's timer, the forced lockdown of the next 24 consecutive hours. That's it. Nothing more is discussed. When your mechanical alarm beeps the following afternoon, the vast, absolute, and overwhelming majority, about 70% of that flash fire of your artificial desire will have already evaporated and vanished from your bloodstream like a fleeting line spike of dopamine anesthetized by the night's sleep cycle. You destroyed the brain's ambush purely through boredom and abstaining from the commercial urgency induced by fake countdown clocks. Movement 2, the vital time math, the effort tax. If your daily work yield equates to a cruel and exhausting $25 for every hour billed after the government taxes have passed, and you feel mental weakness ordering you to authorize and close a purchase to obtain those exorbitant sneakers or that idiotic piece of junk tabbed at a painful $150 on the lit shelf, stop immediately. The real cost of that machine is not evaluated by the receipt or financial value. The tactical price paid by you was sealed in 6 untouchable, sacred, and non-recoverable hours of your biological earthly life's oxygen time. You had to sweat, dirty your hands, and bend your spine in your job's chair for almost an entire shift of effort and consumed life just to be able to pack that useless scrap to take home. Is it worth bleeding your time on the planet for that? Movement 3, the act of environmental friction and the analog cost. Execute the physical and relentless purge today, not cowardly at the end of the week. Uninstall the distracting garbage of TikTok, superficial Instagram, and every mega e-commerce app from the bowels of your phone, or force access to occur solely through the rudimentary use of web browser pages that demand long login processes, typing cards without memory-saved features, restoring into your entire routine the necessary and essential pain of intermediary steps. Use printed cash for everything that is superfluous daily use. Purposely reactivate the visceral tactile pain of physical punishment when feeling the loss and transition of a bill from your wallet to the corporation's profit machine on your fingers. Stop accepting frictionless cards as a narcotic drug for the misery of daily bills and raise armored protective walls around the retention gates of your untouchable savings. I, Buck, know intimately and without masks that hearing all of this right now from your chair and having a slight, burning, fleeting spike of motivation is volatile and as useless as fighting a gunfight with swords in the forest. The revealing clarity of this awakening, without a tactic and doctrine concretely fixed in cement, is innocuous. Your aggressive environment will grind your impulses back down over the stress of the hours, and the silent tentacles of behavioral hackers will seduce your base back into the comfortable inertia of debt tomorrow morning if we do not have a lead and iron counteroffensive logistical plan. It is to burn away that weak code from your spine and cement your resistance that our forces have meticulously, brutally, and continuously structured our entire restructuring complex into a dense, massive, unyielding, and armored manual. This manual operation is not passive couch coach philosophy. It is our logistical axis titled The Order of the Day, 365 high-impact actions for your financial sovereignty. This arsenal is prepared and sharpened with incomparable technical precision. It is the rigorous and cold architectural clipboard of logistical operations where I implanted the manuals to summarily nullify all the mechanics, tactics, and nefarious manipulations used by the corporate network designed to steal your wealth, violently restructuring your friction settings until armoring and erecting a fortress to guard your budgetary borders. Our doctrine will provide the operational processes for the total isolation of the hidden and bloody expenses that silently swallow your old age, implementing relentless automatic actions destined for the total repatriation of your fleeing cash. Above all, the book will impose upon your loose routine a strict, non-negotiable, and aggressive submission to the continuous orders of the chain of command, a single, lethal, specific, and sharp act of monetary war imposed and demanded from your flesh for every business day throughout the sun's rotation in a complete 365-day solar year to build, stack brick by brick, and secure once and for all the indestructible and inexhaustible resilience of your own wall of tomorrow's reserves. The immediate pass of unrestricted and integral control to the entire extent of command of this doctrine of the order of the day has just had the signal in all locks and latches unlocked and validated in this millisecond by my base. The official link containing the full authorization for secure enlistment in the platoon is solidly planted in the foreground, allocated in clear sight in the first directives beneath the terrain description box of this operation video, guaranteed through massive spikes permanently staunched, fastened, and leading undaunted at the very top of the comments down below. Calculate the discrepancy without crying or amateur sentimentality of your lifetime return. The ridiculous financial crumb, the insignificant pocket change of capital that will fall on your shoulders, and that you will allocate and destine as a clean trade-off decision to finally withdraw this invaluable and doctrinal arsenal from my positions in full and absolute possession to your defenses, does not come close in any way to bearing the cost, nor would it even cover the expense of paying a single bitter month of interest on an imbecilic debt, or the fee they debit for the subscription of that luxury service. The abandoned premium streaming that you hide from your budget, a parasitic waste that the austere principles of our Kakebo system in implementation week number 1 would identify on the radar and gun down from your financial reality in a single heartbeat. The raw, undeniable, and insurmountable return that the tireless adoption of this manual provides hands back to you, the only real foundation resistant to marketing artillery, capable of armoring and guaranteeing once and for all that your path of ascension to the future and control of your financial flow gains total immunological, mental, and mathematical immunity in the face of the inexhaustible attacks and traps of the enormous modern superpowers and corporations. You can settle into the cowardly illusion, choosing to absent yourself from the frontline fight by continuing to abdicate, pass on, or outsource, actively and every month, the reins of all responsibility for the tactical command of your hard earned capital, yielding your entire life into the claws of invisible codes and pre molded algorithms in Silicon Valley, dead pieces of mathematical software that never had any remorse or the slightest intention of looking after the physical needs of your shelter in the winter of your old age that is not far off. Persisting in a trained manner in the skin of the eternal indebted servant, blindly enslaved to the inanimate objects and mute things you bought, that you barely look at and do not consume. Or you can jerk the steering wheel of the operation with all your repressed violence today. Seize uncontested dominion by firmly gripping the metallic shaft of your own pen. Take the stiff and unapologetic sheet of paper, declare sovereignty, and take over the directional gears of your own command in your decisions of where the money lines of your cash supply must cross the limits of the map. The verdict of the open choices on where the ballistic route of your financial life will land has just been exposed entirely in the light of day on the table, for everyone who possesses eyes and wishes to see. Your operational support artillery and the ammunition required to break this inertia is lined up and waiting for you, ready, right there on the lower communication deck. Sustain without wavering the cold columns of your tactical standards under strict vigilance and under iron strategic control. Keep the power of your discipline in a state of fury and unshakable daily lethality. And above any disguised commercial appeal that will cross your horizon, armor the psychological gears of your mind impenetrably and under a condition of non-negotiable freedom. This is Buck operating. The signal has been flipped, and the compulsory update of your war systems code and mental operation has just finished loading now.